So, today we're diving into something that could be a massive game changer for anyone who's ever dealt with sensitive teeth. We're talking about a brand new first-in-human clinical trial that isn't just about masking the pain. It's about potentially rebuilding the tooth from the inside out. You know that feeling, right? You take a sip of an iced coffee or step outside on a cold day and bam, that sharp electric jolt in your tooth. It's a feeling a ton of people know all too well. But what's really going on in there when that happens? Well, the official name for it is Dentin hypersensitivity, and it's exactly what it sounds like, a short, sharp pain that happens when something touches the dentin. That's the softer, living tissue that's supposed to be protected by that hard outer shell of an enamel.
So what's the actual cause? It's pretty fascinating, actually. Your dentin is packed with thousands of microscopic tunnels, these things called dentinal tubules. Think of them like tiny straws that lead right to the nerve at the center of your tooth. When your enamel wears down, those straws are exposed, and suddenly cold, heat, and pressure have a direct superhighway to zap your nerve. Ouch!
Okay, so for years, how have we been dealing with this? Well, pretty much all our solutions have been focused on damage control, basically just putting a temporary Band-Aid on the problem. And this slide really gets to the heart of the breakthrough. On the left, you've got the old way of doing things. You know, special toothpastes that either try to numb the nerve or create little plugs for those tubules. And they can help, for sure, but they wear off. The new approach, on the right, is a completely different philosophy. Instead of a patch, it's about permanent regeneration. It's asking, what if we could get the tooth to heal itself and build a new, natural, and durable seal? So that brings us to the really cool part. The big idea here isn't just a better patch. It's about rebuilding the tooth from the inside. This is the question that changes everything. The researchers behind this thought, okay, instead of just putting up a wall to block the pain, what if we could tap into the body's own amazing toolkit? What if we could send a message, a biological signal that basically tells the tooth, hey, you're damaged right here. Time to start rebuilding. And it turns out the key to sending that message lies in one very special molecule. This is the hero of our story, a custom-designed peptide they've named Selcopintide. So where does Selcopintide come from? Well, its story begins with a natural protein in our bodies called copinine 7, or CPNE7. The best way to think about this protein is like a construction foreman. Its job is to go find the stem cells in your tooth pulp, tap them on the shoulder and say, all right, guys, time to get to work. We need you to become odontoblasts. Those are the highly specialized cells whose only job is to build new dentin. Now, the full CPN7 protein is pretty big and complex, so the scientists did something really smart. They analyzed it, found the single most important, most active part of it, the section that carries the start building instruction, and they created a tiny, powerful 10 amino acid version of it. That's Selcopeptide. It's basically a super concentrated dose of the get to work message. And the process itself is just so elegant. First, you just apply this peptide right onto the sensitive part of the tooth. Second, it soaks in and basically wakes up the tooth's own stem cells. Third, those activated cells start doing what they're born to do. They start building brand new natural dentin. And fourth, that new layer of dentin grows over and biologically seals up those exposed tunnels, permanently fixing the problem at its source. Now, all of that sounds incredible in theory, but you know what they say. The real question is, does it actually work in people? And that's exactly what this first ever human clinical trial was designed to find out. So let's look at the key part of the study. They didn't just give one dose. Patients got their first application on day 1, came back for a second one a week later, and then a final one on day 15. After that, the researchers waited a few weeks until day 36 to do the final check and see how much the pain had actually been reduced. And to make sure the results were legit, they did this the right way. It was a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial. That means people were randomly split into groups. Some got a low dose of Selcopentide, some got a higher dose, and some got a placebo, which has no active ingredient at all. And the best part? Nobody knew who got what, not the patients, not even the dentists applying it. That's how you prove that a treatment really, truly works. All right, so the moment of truth. What did they find out? Well, the results were, frankly, fantastic, and they were promising on the two fronts that matter most. Was it safe? And was it effective? So let's just focus on the group that got the higher 10 microgram dose. I mean, this chart says it all, right? The bar on the left is the average pain score people reported before the treatment started. It's pretty high. The bar on the right, that's the pain score at the end of the study. It's a massive drop. Patients felt a huge reduction in their tooth sensitivity. To put a number on it, the average pain score, which they measure on a 100 mm scale, dropped by over 23 points. Now, in the world of clinical science, that is what you call a statistically significant reduction. It means the result is so strong that it's almost impossible it happened just by chance. The treatment was working. And now for the safety part, which is just as important. They took blood samples from the patients to see if this peptide was getting absorbed into the rest of the body. And the result? Zero. Nada. Zilch. It was completely undetectable in the bloodstream. This is huge because it proves the treatment stays exactly where you put it. It just works on the tooth and nowhere else. The study's own authors really summed it up perfectly. They said, look, unlike all the old stuff, Selcopintide promotes physiologic dentin regeneration. That's the magic phrase right there. It means it's helping the body do what it's naturally supposed to do, offering a solution that's not only compatible with your body, but could be durable and long-lasting. So when you put all this together, what does it really mean for the future of dentistry? Well, it suggests we are standing on the edge of a completely new way of thinking about how we fix dental problems. So let's boil it down. Why does this matter so much? First, it's regenerative. It's about healing, not just hiding the symptoms. Second, it's localized, which makes it incredibly safe. Third, because it's actually rebuilding the tooth, it offers the hope of a truly durable, maybe even permanent solution. And finally, this study itself is a pioneer. It's setting a whole new standard for how we test and develop these kinds of regenerative medicines for dentistry. Now, of course, bigger studies are still needed to confirm all this, but this first look is incredibly exciting. It really makes you wonder, with a therapy that can literally tell our own bodies how to heal themselves, could we actually be taking the first real step toward a future where that wince-inducing pain from a cold drink becomes a thing of the past?